Christmas with them, even though it's after Christmas, and do New Year's together. It's just me and the 4 kiddos. I guess not just me, there's 5 of us, still a lot of people. But yeah, so we are on our way, and yeah, here is our travel day. Alright, so we started around maybe 6:20 in the morning. It is 7:20-ish now, so we've been on the road about an hour. And I can't remember how long it is. I think it's like a 13, 14-hour trip overall. Like, that's with stops, I think. We'll see. We'll see what time we get there. And then you do gain an hour since we're going west. But yeah, so we've been on the road an hour. I just gave the kids some Cheerios. And in a little ways, up here when we get to town, I'll probably stop and get, you know, like some drinks and more breakfast food. That just each had a little bowl of Cheerios. But anyway, that is kind of how things are going. So, yay. Okay, and side note, my socks that I put on this morning obviously had a little hole and I didn't realize it, and now they have a giant hole, and I might as well not be wearing a sock. Like, I have it covering my toes and it's up on my ankle, but my like whole like heel and, you know, the bottom half of my foot have no sock on them whatsoever. And it's 21 degrees. We are, let's see, oh, it's like 8:30, and we stopped and got a little breakfast, used the restrooms, got back on the road. So yeah, just riding along. You know, funny things come up. We did a little car schooling, I guess. We talked about nocturnal animals. All these things totally come up random. I do not plan these things. And we talked about, oh goodness, what did we just talk about? All right, so then we talked about tallying and like how to tally, which we've kind of gone over before, but it came up again. So we talked about tallying, and now my oldest anyway is following along in the road atlas, figuring out what highways we're on and where we are and where we're going, and that's completely self-led. I did not do that. But yeah, so you never know when you'll get a little schooling. So it's 10:30 and we still have 7 hours according to the map app thing, Google Maps or whatever, till our destination, and that's not including stops, which we have had a ton of so far. More stops than I normally ever take on a trip. I don't know what the deal is. Just like every hour we've had to like stop. I don't know, it's weird. So anyway, just moving on down the road. The kids have been doing good. They're playing with their backpacks full of fun stuff. And after I get gas, I'll probably let them turn on a movie. I haven't really seen anything too interesting or fun. It's a Sunday, and I like traveling on Sundays because the roads are always pretty empty. I feel like it's one of the best days to travel. So anyway, yep, it's just how it's going, just kicking it. So when I was a kid, I remember seeing these all over when we would drive through Kansas, but I haven't seen them in a long time. But yeah, I just spotted that one in it was like right in front of me. I had to kind of go around it. It was huge. They're tumbleweeds, by the way, if you don't know what that is. Alright, so it is almost noon and we're doing pretty good. I think we're about halfway. But we are coming to my favorite spot on the trip, well, other than actually getting there, is the big windmills, and there are more and more of them each time we come, and from here on you start seeing more and more all the way till I get to my mom's. But this is like the first area that they have, and this is the first place that I really ever saw them, and they just look so neat to me. But yeah, I want to show them to you. So we just saw a herd of buffalo. I wish I could have gotten video of them, but yeah, we drove by before I could get my phone ready. actually stones, like rock, and they're super old. I can't remember the year that they were put up, but what happened was when settlers came out here to this area of Kansas and wanted to set up perimeters to their land, they didn't have any trees. There are no trees. Of course, there really aren't many trees now either. I guess you just saw a car, so you could. Anyway, there's no trees out here. And there definitely were no trees then. The few trees that are here are because people have planted them. So anyway, they took rocks and chiseled them into those posts, and that is what all their fences have holding up their fences here are the rocks. So yeah, just a fun little fact. And there's a little like pull off here if you're ever interested that tells you about it. There are more windmills. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but they're about as far as the eye can see are windmills. Alrighty, it is 2:30 and we stopped and got lunch, went to the restroom, walked around Walmart to stretch our legs. Ended up taking like an hour and a half, which is longer than I like stopping, but it's almost inevitable with this many people, so that's what we did. And it looks like they got quite a bit of snow with the blizzard that went through the other day. I was actually supposed to go a couple days ago and I couldn't because of weather, and I had a sick kid again. But yeah, it looks like they definitely got a lot. Miles is my least favorite. I mean, there's some pretty scenery, but other than that, there's just really not much. I feel like, you know, we've kind of hit all the stopping points and everything, and it's also the end, and the end is always hard. So goodness, it's the dreaded last little bit of the trip, but we can do this. We're getting close. So, and I could, you know, fly. Some people have asked why I don't fly, but part of the problem with flying is we live in a spot that just doesn't have a really good airport nearby. To fly out of the local airport, it's just a little like regional type airport, and it is, I mean, like you're looking at $500 for a cheap ticket, and they go up from there. Now there are a few select cities that you can fly to less expensive, like Orlando you can actually fly to for a decent price. But Denver and Colorado Springs are not one of those cities. It would cost me almost $1,000 a ticket to drive or to fly. And then if I went to a bigger airport where I could get a better price ticket, honestly, I wouldn't really save much time. By the time I drove to the airport, I was at the airport for all that time you have to be there, the time in the air, and then that flies into an airport that actually is not that close to my mom. It's like an hour and a half away from her. And so you still spend more money, and other than the fact that I'm not the one having to do all the driving, I don't really save any time. So, I mean, if we both just lived in different locations, flying would be really nice. But yeah, it just doesn't work for where we both live. It's just kind of a awkward places, I guess. So anyway, that is why we drive. Churches. They're all over Kansas, but I guess they were built like in the late 1800s by some Catholic missionaries, and they just went all through Kansas building these massive, impressive churches. I don't know. It's interesting what you can discover. Okay, we are on our last leg. We resorted to movies, but yeah, we've got just a few more minutes and we will be there.